All right. It is Thursday, September 18th, 2025. The meeting of the Halliwell Multi-Generational Building Committee is called to order. First item on the agenda is roll call. Mr. Savini?
Here.
Mr. Punchak?
Here.
Mr. Nigerian?
Here.
And the chair is here. Mrs. Tebow, Mrs. Paulus, and Mr. Mayo are absent this evening. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is anybody? Perfect. Mrs. Lilly, you know the drill.
Should I use the mic?
If you would, please. Thank you.
Can anyone see me? Okay, I know that there's been some changes since the last time I was at a meeting. So I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that I think is going to be important for the community garden. I want to make sure that it's in a location where it gets sun. If and once we move up towards the building, we're going to have to conduct soil testing, which will have to be sent out probably to UMass, because URI does not do testing for heavy metals and that type of thing, and that would have to be done. If it comes back that there's anything in the soil that's problematic as far as toxic materials, we would have to go up onto raised beds, which would be an expense. Hopefully that will not be the case, but we would like to include in the garden design some high raised beds for people with mobility issues, especially if we can get some seniors involved. That might be something. We would at some point like to have a water source as a drip system, because that's a better use of water, and it actually is better for the plants. But again, doesn't have to be in this doesn't have to be in this money package. It could be something we could go after. And we would also like to have what I would call a enclosed stockyard, basically high fencing, stockade fencing, that we can put our unused things that look terrible away and out of sight and look tidy. The garden volunteers have said that they would be interested in doing a few showier beds out near the front and side of the buildings as like demo gardens, but I think there's a limitation on how much landscaping our volunteer crew could do to maintain anything else beyond that. I also wanted to update you on Parks and Rec Commission. We are working on a program. We're still in the working stages of a memorial bench program, which would be identifying sites in town which could use or be appropriate to have a bench installed. Part of that process would be choosing the type of bench to be used. For instance, if it was near Town Hall, it would probably be a historic looking bench. If it was at Pacheco, it might be a more utilitarian recycled plastic bench. Coming up with pricing, location, installation protocols, and then a contract form, so anyone who wanted to purchase a bench would pay for it. And they would have the plaque, and they would have an understanding of the longevity of the bench. They would have first chance to renew, say after 25 years after the bench starts to degrade, they could renew it before someone else can take the location. So that might be something that could be used around this building to help pay for some of the necessary things. If Scott was here, I would be making a plug for doing some more programming type things, because I think it's important that if we're selling this building to the community and perhaps looking for funding from the community, that people see the building as what it's going to be used for, and not just a brick and mortar structure, but as a living community place. So the Parks and Rec Commission has been exploring different types of programming that we can do, but of course that deals with maybe additional manpower or something. So I don't know what to tell you on that, but we're interested in presenting something like that to the town council. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. Then we'll move on to our next item for action, or for our next agenda item for discussion, consideration, and action. Administration's review, report on design development cost estimate. Mr. Carulli, you want to just give us a brief update for that, for the public?
What's it, where's that go?
The administration's review?
Yeah, the administration's review is ongoing.
Okay. Do we have a date in mind of when we will be receiving?
I think the administrator had an expectation that it would take a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I think it's been a couple of weeks, so I really don't know if he has a target date, but he is working on it.
Okay. Can we tentatively communicate to him that we could pencil him in for then the next Halliwell meeting, which would be on the 2nd of October?
I will make him aware of your intention to pencil him in for the 2nd of October.
All right, great, thank you. All right, then, next item on the agenda for discussion, consideration, and action, committee review of the design development cost estimate. We have Jeremy from BH+A, so if you want to take us through where we stand today.
This will be a pretty short update. I think you have all the documents. We can go through it pretty quickly. And then we can come back and discuss the list as well. I'm going to go to the next slide. So this, you have this document in front of you. This is the updated cost comparison based on the updated cost estimate we got. So we have a new, slightly lower total project cost. I think it's
If I could,
yeah.
I'm confused as to what course we're on here. With due respect to the work that you put in, we're waiting for the admin who was directed by the council to review the budget and I assume pull money out of it. That's pending. It would appear that that is more important because it's directed by the council. How does that interact with what we're addressing today, just so that I understand?
So the intent, after the last council meeting, it sounded like a few of the members were looking to see how we can further reduce costs, and because we are at the 7.2 number. And BH+A had initially put together a small list for us to go through. I believe that was items 1 through 11 on this list that's dated September 17th that we have now in our packet. We hadn't formally recommended one way or the other which ones we would recommend we keep, which ones we recommend we would accept, and which ones we wouldn't accept. There's probably a number of things, such as the non-commercial kitchen. That's likely a no-go. And there's other items on this list that I'd like to go through line by line, and then ultimately, as our group goes through this, make a recommendation to the council. Okay, we are recommending these items be removed from the scope of work, and that's going to put us at X for our new project cost. So that's the intent, and I was hoping that we'd have the administrators review and report as well. So then that way we could identify from coming at this from two different perspectives, we could make our formal recommendations to the council. They can, discuss them at their next council meeting and make a decision one way or the other if we're moving forward into design development or construction documents, or if we're going to put a pin in this and figure out another path.
I understand that explanation. I'm just curious, are we going to the council as one, meaning have the administrator present to this committee? Would it not be more powerful message to the council if we were on the same page? If the administrator came and said, here's our 1 through 15, okay, and committee, okay, Mr. Administrator, here's our 1 through 15. Can we see which ones are the same and then review the ones that aren't? And then is there anything that says we can't have one memorandum that says the two are in agreement? So at least the council would then look and say that we don't have a divide, we have a unified front that's coming back to us.
Yeah. No,
Shouldn't we work towards that?
And that was the intent. I was hoping to have everything to discuss tonight.
So my only follow-up would be then, if we do exactly what, go over all of these items to the extent that you want to, then I would almost suggest at the time that we consider sending it to the administrator and saying, internally, this is what we did.
Yep.
Can you review it relative to what you're looking at and see if we can't come up with one combined list
Yeah.
for the next meeting, so then we can all sit down and say, okay, here's where we're at.
Mhm.
Just to create some harmony,
Yeah.
I think.
No, I totally agree with that.
Can I chime in?
As always.
I think we're looking at this the wrong way entirely. I think we need to look at globally what is happening with construction projects in this town currently. We've got this project and we've got a police station project. Between those two projects, we're at potentially $12 to $14 million. And we've got 6, maybe 7 secured. So we're either gonna make a decision to figure out a way to move forward with 2 projects, or we're getting nothing. And I think the first meeting, I talked about building excitement about this project, hasn't happened. So we should really be, like, why do we wanna go into just saying, okay, we're arbitrarily cutting $1 million out of this project, we're still 2.1 short? I would say, how are we gonna finance these things? Maybe we're gonna get this additional $1.5 million. Maybe we gotta go to a bond somewhere. Maybe some of it comes from our current finances, from our current fund balance. I would rather see us get a nice project. Yes, there are definitely some things that are nicer than we need for it, but why are we just going in and saying, okay, we wanna cut this thing down to $4 million just to get a job? Yes, we're saving money, but it's at the expense of usability. Right now, I have no reason to think I would ever go in this building other than at a ribbon cutting. And I think there's probably a lot of people in town that have that. There needs to be excitement. It needs to be a decision. Is this town gonna, go forward with 2 projects? If we're going forward with 2 projects, how are we financing them?
So then
Counselor, I agree 100%. I was gonna bring it up in my notes that the first question in my mind is, what do you want, council? Do you expect us to come back and have the machete do all the machete can do? Or we've got so many variables here. No matter what, we're not gonna find the 2 million, right? And if we do, we're gonna be embarrassed by what we built. And if we want to say, the council finally at some point needs to say to us, we are of one, we will build this, the committee will move forward, and we on our end are gonna look at what you just highlighted so well. You're the guys that have to juggle it. You know our bonding capacity, you know our reserves, you know what you're willing and unwilling to do. And the 3 of us already know that the market out there is changing. And it may change dramatically to our benefit. So there's many, many moving parts here. I was hesitant. I said it at 2 meetings ago. I had to miss the last one because I went on a family vacation. I didn't want to start to take the machete out until we understood what the number meant in the context of, will you let us try to get money? Will you not? We're trying to get funded money, but I had said at the time that I know of a minimum of 50 to 100 that is sitting there waiting for us to formally ask. That's one of multiple businesses. So I'm 100% behind the concept of, if we slash, do we have 2? Do we have the first? And we have the economical version. So at least we know that we have a plan B. But then I think honestly, we need some inspiration from the council. We have all the inspiration. We've given everything we can give
Yeah,
as far as that. You need to say to us,
I think,
this is where we want to lead you.
obviously, I can't speak for everyone,
know.
but I think that at the last meeting, it was pretty clear how two of the council members feel about this. So you've got three council members, one of which was involved in the vote to do this, two of which were not involved. So, you know,
But we also know that that's clearly the case, and that's what it appears to be politically. But we also know that whomever is actually watching, and whoever has paid attention, we have spent, all of us, a fair amount of money to get these documents in front of us.
no question
And I
about
don't think it's politically expedient for anyone to now drop the guillotine and say it can't be done, because you could have foreseen it. We've been chasing our tail.
Oh, sure.
Since we started. We knew darn well that the money was the issue. And we knew that we were trying to design something that made a statement without being overstated. Can you cut an architect's budget? Always you can, no question. Are you gonna par down 2 million from 6? And not without significantly altering the original intent. So I really think that there is an opportunity for us to finally get everybody on board and say, even if it's conditional and says, okay, we have plan A and we have plan B, and we have an uncertain market, and we can always put it out to bid and withdraw. We are not on a road to spend the money unless we see the results come back. And then if we're given the opportunity to raise money and the administrator continues to chase with the grant writers what's out there, I don't know. But I don't think anyone wants to say that this is dead in the water and we gave it the college try, and, you know, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars later, it's, we just couldn't, and yeah, I think we
that's
can't do
why
that.
that's why to me, there needs to be some way to build excitement about these two projects. You know, at the end of this, you know, we can't keep looking backwards at things. We need to look forward, and there needs to be, you know, a decision.
Well,
This
police is first on the docket, right?
But it's still, you know, actually financially, I think that one's got a bigger discrepancy. You know, there's always been talk about coming from, whatever the fund is, the fund balance. There's always been the conversation about coming from the fund balance. I don't think it's gonna happen.
But isn't bonding an opportunity for the town in that project?
Well, I think that's probably where this conversation should be going, and is it a matter of, you know, can we bond to go towards the police station and make up $1 million difference on the multi-generational facility? Those are the conversations. This, to me, if we can talk to a blue in the face, it's gonna be really irrelevant at some point, until that decision is made.
I think it's an excellent point. I don't know what
So-
that says about what we should do tonight.
Yeah, so, go ahead, Mr. Pruitt.
So, everything you're saying makes absolute sense, and I think one of the reasons why the administrator or the administration hasn't completed its review is they're looking holistically at both projects, looking at funding opportunities, funding options for both projects, is working on a plan to close the gap on both projects as much as possible, and then come up with alternatives to funding, hopefully, both projects. At the end of the day, there's no assurance, no guarantee that that will happen, but that is what the administrator, matter of fact, he provided some information today with regard to funding opportunities. You know, there's an expectation that the fund balance will be, the unrestricted fund balance will be increasing after the audit of this year. So that's a balancing act that the administration is doing, as well as looking at how to pare down this project, not such that it not be a building you don't want to go into, but a building that's inviting that you do want to go into, and balancing that with much needed upgrades to the police department. And that project is anywhere between $6 and $10 million. That's a big, big cost for that project. So while they are in competition, the hope is that they can both be funded and constructed. So hopefully that helps a little bit, and I think
Yeah, thank
a
you.
little bit of patience and waiting for the administrator to work through his plan and then maybe vet that informally through members of the council or whatever he has to do is probably the best thing to do at this point.
Yep.
Maybe, I always say one of the things you do in government is you should make haste slowly. So I think that's what we need to do.
No, I think that's very encouraging, because that's kind of on par with what we were just saying. So
Yeah.
I think that's a very positive premise and status that we're dealing with.
One of the things that I want to touch base back with Mr. Punchak said is building excitement. And right now, this committee's charge is to, do so many different things. I would like to go back to the council and ask them if we can have, or if our resolution can be revised so that we can engage in fundraising opportunities, so that we can engage in, community outreach. And because I think that's where we're finding ourselves stifled a little bit, is because we've been told, these are your tasks, this is what you have to do. Anything outside of those tasks, we're gonna get a slap on the wrists. And it makes things incredibly difficult when we have a divided council. It's very difficult to build excitement about a project when we have,
I don't know that you can say you have a divided council.
well, at the last meeting, it seemed pretty divided.
I don't know.
I mean-
There's definitely two that made their, feelings felt.
Oh, they made that loud and clear.
I think I pretty much abstained from saying much of anything. I don't know that Mr. Christofaro said much of anything. I think she had some questions, and Mrs. O'Hare did not say very much.
Yeah.
So I don't know that saying a divided council is necessarily, I think, and I don't necessarily, when I say building excitement, I don't know that I'm specifically talking about fundraising. Again, I go back to,
No, I mean, just having a Facebook page or some general outreach that, aside from Mrs. Lilly and a few of the other members of the public that come to these meetings, that's basically the outreach that we've had in whatever the local newspapers report on. And, it's just, it's unfortunate because some folks view this as not an investment in the town, but it absolutely is. And investing in this town is what's gonna make us, propel us forward. And,
But I think it's-
we've given the council collateral, we've given the council fundraising ideas, and they just all seem to fall flat. And if we're talking about fundraising, we've been talking about fundraising for quite a while. We've identified areas, and there's just no further action for either us to move forward, or there's no further action from the council for directing the administration to move forward with something. So that's where we need to look for some change and some adjustment there in how we're approaching this, because you're absolutely right, that we need to build more excitement, but we need to also abide by what our charge is and what our resolution says we have to do. And council has the authority to either give us additional responsibilities, or it falls solely on them to continue doing something about it. And I know that there's 5 of you, there's 7 of us, we want to all move forward together, and we should be doing that.
Yeah, but I think you have to be mindful that, of course, we're all not naive. We're not naive. We realize that you're in a political environment, whether it's a big city, a small city, a big government, or a small government. I don't think we could ever expect that you were going to consistently have united and unanimous consent or support.
No.
But it's a distinction, profound distinction between not having outward support and or working against. I don't think anyone is actively working against. So therefore, it's our opportunity now to take the high road and be proactive. All of us now, inclusive of the council, the numbers are there. Whether the people are watching or not, they'll be vocal when they want to be vocal. We can't control that. But The numbers are there. So the decision time is now. And you have to know, I'm sure, that we all know that council members, their vote is going to matter. And if it means that, you want to stop this, which I don't believe any of them do, you're telling the town that you decided to waste all of that money in design on an arbitrary thing. So let's go the high road. Let's go to them and be proactive and say, yes, we are working with the admin. We are going to try to find the things that we can cut that should be cut, or within reason, without being detrimental to the architectural integrity. But we also know that per our charge, our work is almost complete. And we know that there's much more. There's a minor mountain to climb, and that mountain is the difference between the 4 and the 6. So please, unless you're gonna form another committee, give us the authority to start fundraising. We'll go with whatever paperwork is not the issue. Give us the authority, we'll figure out with the lawyers how it's done, that's irrelevant. Do you want us to do it, or is somebody else gonna do it? We know that that's the way I think we should approach this. Forget about who said what, when they said it, and what they did or didn't do. It isn't gonna help us build the bridge. The only bridge we can build, in my opinion, is par this down, work with the administrator so we can go back to the council and say, yeah, we looked at it. And we're all comfortable with this new number. Now, let us try. We'll try to get to the gap to fill it, but as the counselor said, you have tools at your disposal. You could give us contingency approval and say, start to chisel at the number. We want to see results. But we can fund it. If we're a team. If it's an adversarial position, there's constantly when there's somebody trying to undermine us. And all we can do is take the high road. So one of the resolutions that I would hope we make today is that we modify the charter to do exactly what we've asked them to do repeatedly, but this time be a little bit more forceful and say, give us the opportunity to present a fundraising plan for your approval, but at least let us start something, and that will be a positive. And we should put in words, to some extent, what now the planner through the admin and the council mentioned, that there are other tools in the council's bag. Can you start to explore those in fairness to us so we know where the level playing field might be found? But I guess there's no reason not to at least go through this stuff if you think that these changes are not going to noticeably impact the integrity of the original intent.
No, I think with Jeremy here, we should at least go through them and understand what they mean. Whether or not one way or not, we make a decision one way or the other, we can at least have a discussion about them. If there's any questions that we have, we can at least get those, brought to the forefront, and then we can go from there. I would hate to waste Jeremy's time having him come out for tonight, and then we can like I said, we can talk about the different items, what they mean, because there's a lot of broad strokes here, and go from there.
I have a question, Jeff, with regard to Jeremy and the contract. How is the contract structured with regard to tasks? Because it would be probably not good if the architect was spending time and value on duplicating activities, or is it just a lump sum contract?
It's a lump sum contract.
Whatever they do, so that you can come to every meeting, be here for 100 hours, it's the same amount of money. Is that?
It's a lump sum contract, yeah. I would, just speaking from the industry, I hope he's not going over on his hours, but
Doing my best.
that's my hope.
Okay.
But I know it's hard when you have it working with a committee.
We're good for now. Do you want to go a couple slides ahead, just one more? So this is the list you have in front of you. I think this is kind of the bulk of what we want to go through.
Yeah.
Actually, we want to go one more. Yeah, I put a floor plan here just so we can kind of look at, it'll give us a better idea of what we're looking at when we go through. If there's questions about some of these, some of these items I can kind of point out, but, so do we want to just start at number 1 and go through, or?
Yeah, let's just
How do we
start,
do that?
just start from the top and we can go right through.
Okay. Do you want me to describe each one? Do we want to just talk about how you guys are feeling? You want to answer questions on specific items? What's the best way to do this?
Well, I mean, I think most of us are literate enough to
Yeah.
understand, but the CMU, what would be in lieu of?
So we just continue the fiber cement down further. We need to have a gap between the, about lead 8 inches, 12
Yeah.
inches between the ground, just to keep it from falling
So it
apart.
would be
But
principally the clapboard,
yeah,
the
you just continue the
cementatious
siding
side.
down. You know, it's a little more vulnerable to, you know, weed whackers, snow blowers, that kind of thing.
That's exactly why that was one of my concerns, is that maintenance-wise, the
Yeah.
CMU will hold up
Well,
till.
what's the height currently?
The height is 2.5, 3 feet.
blocks.
So what if you went
3
2
blocks.
courses instead of 4, or half the height, so that you maintain some level of protection? Does that make it too de minimis? Does it not look right?
Yeah, because they're using the CMU as kind of the windowsill,
Oh, to cover the sill.
so that's kind of the line that they're
It
drawing.
would look foolish then, unless you made the windows taller and then you're adding money there.
Yeah.
I mean, it might look okay if you do 1 course, but then that's not giving you enough protection to make it worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think keep it
So,
as is, or.
Yeah. My thought is just building maintenance-wise, keeping the CMU, having the salt, because it's gonna run along the walk. I would recommend that we leave it as is, but certainly up for discussion.
And we don't have a buffer of kind of a planting area either between the sidewalk and the building, so any salt or excess snow or rain or whatever is gonna be right up against that fiber cement.
I would tend to agree for now. I think we should leave it,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know we talked about this for number 2, removing the multipurpose room, operable partition and beam. This was one that we, depending on how we decided on that first alternate, because if we were to remove the activity room and the small conference room
Yeah.
that they have up there, I know Mrs. Tebow was saying that we would want to maintain the operable partition, so then that way we could at least have 3 rooms instead of just 2. So I think that will be dependent on which way that alternate is accepted or not.
Say that again. Is it
So-
in or is it out?
If
That's on the
the,
alternate.
if the add alternate, or the deduct alternate with the activity room and the conference room is accepted, so those 2 rooms are now out,
Gotcha.
then we would not accept removing the operable partition. But it could be an option if we leave those 2 leave those 2 rooms.
Okay. Okay.
well, I mean, that's a noticeable amount of money, so I guess,
It's a big cost, yeah.
yeah, I guess, and are there any design options within that dollar range for alternates that achieve the same thing but aren't the same value? Again, I don't wanna lessen the project, but.
I think, I mean, are you asking if that's kind of the biggest chunk? Or if we could take something else out to keep that?
No, meaning, is there a less expensive product to do the same thing?
Oh,
Curtains they put in gymnasiums.
there are less expensive products that are not as good. I think part of this is that this is a soundproof barrier, so if you're having things run at the same time, without that, it's kind of pointless.
And can I interject though, because one of my notes was that, it's possible that if we had something that we really wanted, but was enough of a dollar value that caused pause, and if we're given the authority to raise funds, couldn't we also come and target some things and say, okay, this curtain is critical to our design, and we go and try to solicit for that specific expense to put it back in if it had to come out, and/or even if you just assigned it and said it goes to the general fund, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't want to lose something that we're gonna regret,
Right?
because it's fundamental to what we're trying to do, so.
And, this kind of thing, you can take it out, putting it back in later is more difficult.
Yeah,
It
it's
has
more
its own structural pieces that need to go in, you
Yep.
know, beforehand, so, things to keep in mind.
Mhm.
You know, there's a couple things in here, like, you know, number 17, that doesn't need any infrastructure, that can come out, and if you buy one later, you can stick it on a wall somewhere, but some of these bigger, you know, especially the bigger cost items, the sprinkler system, putting that back in later is gonna cost you much
Mm.
more, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
The commercial, non-commercial kitchen, what is that, number of fixtures, type of fixtures?
Type of fixtures, it's
And
finish of
equipment.
fixtures, it's that kind of thing.
And what if you were to define a non-commercial kitchen? Oh, so wait a minute, you have your 60 is for the non?
Right, if we were to, if we take out that $60,000 if we wanted to go with a non-commercial kitchen.
Okay, so that's.
So that's the savings, right?
Yeah,
So you'd have more residential style appliances, you'd have, instead of stainless steel or cabinets, you'd have, you know, residential wood finishes, that kind of thing. You'd have less pieces of equipment, you know, probably get rid of the ice maker, that kind of thing. So it'd be more of a warming kitchen, you wouldn't be able to prepare meals there. It limits what you can do.
Have we defined that as a purpose? I mean, of course, we would love to have it, but
Yep.
have we defined a commercial kitchen as a fundamental need?
Yes, yeah. I know with Mrs. Tebow speaking, Mrs. Paulus is here to speak to it as well. The thought was that it would be a place where meals could be prepared for large gatherings, for Meals on Wheels and delivery to the other senior communities throughout the town. And it also opens up the ability to have this the multipurpose room open for rentals. So it gives the ability for outside groups to come in, be able to cook and prepare foods. They don't have to have a catering truck and tent outside and everything like that.
So it is fundamental.
And it sounds like at our last meeting, Joel had also said almost all of the community centers that you folks have worked on
Correct.
have, the ones that you did install the residential kitchen, they've gone back later and installed a new one.
I'm working on one right now, that's the exact same thing we're doing.
Yeah.
So if you don't have, if you don't have a commercial kitchen, you could have a party, I could have a party and bring my family in and use the residential equipment, but it's not certified by Department of Health. You can't have any kind of outside people outside, you know, have a organization come in, because then you run afoul of Department of Health. So I guess it's a matter of how does it want to be used. And I would agree with Mrs. Tebow and Mrs. Paulus that the seniors would probably benefit from having a kitchen in there that is fully functional. If they want to have any kind of senior dinner, senior luncheon, anything like that, then it gives them the flexibility to hold those things. Otherwise, you're just calling in a caterer and they're just using the kitchen as storage and.
Yeah.
No, I think everybody, I'm curious about the shower. You never want to cut anything related to ADA, but is there a need for a shower?
I would cut it. I don't think so.
There's not a need, I think at one point we were looking at this as an emergency shelter, or a shelter of some kind. And the shower is required for that.
Well, but then that raises a question that I had in my notes, which is,
Yeah.
as it relates to the generator as well. And the administrator might be able to help us. If we defined it, or if it could qualify as a shelter, does that open up funding resources at any point that are related to such structures? And do we benefit? Is it worth the cost? Because now we can classify the building and be qualified for other federal
Yeah.
grants or funds?
I think there was mention that there was a concern that the high school is already considered a shelter, but at the same time, the high school will only be able to shelter so many folks, you know, so it could very well be something that we want to look at, you know, through EMA and what their thoughts are as well.
Well, maybe that should be a pointed question to the council.
Mhm.
Do you or do you not? Now, they may not, they may ask for more information, which I would if I were them, but maybe we should ask them because it relates to the generator.
Yep.
And it relates to this, and you could argue that it also substantiates the professional kitchen or commercial kitchen. So maybe we should,
I think before we ask the council, I think we decide if we want it in or not, and then we can compare notes with the administration, make our case, because ultimately the council now has directed the administration to come back. I had wished that the council had directed us to go make these changes and maybe run them by the administration after we had had our say, but that's not how it went down. So I think at this point, the council wants to hear from the administration, so I think we can make our case to the administration, but not to the council.
well, then maybe we do the same thing, but send a memorandum to the administrator and say,
Right,
can you consider whether or not defining this as a shelter, which would then require the necessary attachments,
right.
you know?
I mean, we can say, I think there's something on here about some infrastructure related to a generator at a future point. We can say, yes, we would like that on the contingency that, you know, it will allow for, you know, additional grant applications to be
designation,
earned.
yeah.
You know, if not, then, if that's not gonna be in play for any other reason, take it off. I think that the shower could go regardless, but.
No, I think you said it's required.
If it's
Oh,
going to
okay.
be a
If it's gonna be a
shelter, you
shelter.
need
If it's
to
gonna
have
be
a
a shell, okay.
Correct.
So far, we've taken nothing away? Okay.
Well, the AV, audio visual, I mean,
You skip the door, the roll-up door.
yeah. How much,
I know.
if we eliminated, what do we have?
The AV.
Yeah.
Can you go to a couple slides? I have just, the AV really is, it's the infrastructure for, next one probably? One more? Maybe back? I might not have included it. Should be one more.
So
No.
the nice thing about
Anyways,
AV though, is it's
anywhere-
all low voltage. It doesn't require conduit.
Yeah.
There, that one.
It doesn't require, you know, electrical permitting. You can just be able to run those wires without,
Right.
you know, and just lay them on top of the ACT or the top of the ceiling.
Yeah, buildings are retrofitted all the
Yep.
time.
So I was gonna say that one could be one that gets removed and added on later. When, you know, once the
Yeah.
building gets up and running and we find that, okay, now we're having more shows, we're having more, movie nights, you know, that could very easily be integrated into at a later date.
And we can also, in some of the walls, if we want to just put an empty conduit beforehand,
Yeah, just for
Go and
future
fish it,
pool,
yeah.
that's a possibility.
Ring and
too.
string.
Is
Yeah.
that the same logic with the sound system?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're connected.
Yeah.
If you do one, do them all, yeah.
The BDA system, you know, that's gonna be fire department driven, so we won't be able to make a determination on that one way or the other. The security system reduction, I think we could probably get away with that. I think the security drawings that we actually have this building is more secure than the building we're in right now, as far as cameras and security systems go.
I would say if you can leave a handful of cameras in strictly for,
So we can
Liability
have that plan
issues.
as well, if you want to go.
like, I'm not sure you need every square footage of the building to be
Right.
secured.
Points of
with
entry.
cameras, but I think you do it
This
in the event that there is protection against any kind of insurance claim of,
Yeah.
from injury or
Just
vandalism
Yeah.
that could occur.
So if we remove the 59, then it still leaves a system?
So we have cameras, and then we have card readers, the blue the blue squares. And then there are, I think all the windows have a sensor, so a breakage sensor. That's what's included in here. And I think the cameras, as you can see, there's a lot of cameras. I don't know. If
Yeah, I
the
would think
interior-
that the sensors,
Yeah,
if you have the cameras, the sensors, I mean,
And it could be a conversation with what the interlocal trust ensures and what it doesn't,
what, yeah.
you know. There could be a level of that integration too.
But if we remove the 59, there is still something there, there's still a core system? Or is that everything?
no. I mean, all these connect to a box, a command center type of thing that rings out when.
No, but I meant if we remove the line item,
The security system,
there is
yes,
still a system, or,
there's not.
so that number represents everything?
Yeah, that line
Yeah.
represents everything. I took out if you go down to 28, the interior cameras themselves,
Mhm.
it's a separate piece. So that's on top of that. Those two kind of go together.
Okay.
But yeah, if that's gone, then there's no security system.
Mhm.
I don't
Aside
think it's
from
smart
locks.
to have no security system. The card reader is probably a good way to maintain access,
Yeah.
So maybe we should have a reduced, once the council, maybe we should at least, I think it would be foolhardy to have nothing.
Okay.
The side is really not seen by the road or anything, so it's.
All those little scoundrels on Maple Ave are gonna walk
Yes,
down the
all
hill.
those cameras are now smoking,
Vandalizing.
right in their cars through the playground.
Okay. We can still certainly continue down. I was thinking, along the lines of Mr. Nigerian for the exterior signing and the flagpole, that those could very easily be taken out but earmarked as a donation. I'm sure there's some groups that would be able to, that would like to we could alter, maintain the Halliwell sign that's there now existing. There's the existing flagpole and existing boulder with the Halliwell name on it as well. So I think there could be some fundraising and opportunity there, so to take that out. As far as, I know Jeremy has listed out some of the architectural features on this building, which for me personally, I think makes it more inviting, warmer, and particularly a little bit more exciting of a facade. But we can certainly go through these items as well, between
I
the.
think anything less than $10,000 is kind of silly.
Mhm.
And if it's, that vertical siding gives, it might be a minor thing, but it gives you some kind of a visual impact.
It also calls out the entry point,
Exactly.
which is it's not right at the front of the building, so
Yeah.
it leaves it there. And
I
especially
think-
if you take out the canopy.
I think that should stay.
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
I mean, the rafter tail is a beautiful design because that's the low eave condition, or is it both high and low?
It would be both top and bottom.
Yeah.
I think the one at the bottom over the patio is gonna be definitely more noticeable.
Mhm.
So if you wanna take out the top and leave the bottom, that's a possibility.
Well, that might be worthy of, because do you really have the high eave
Yes,
is not the prominent view, right?
no, it won't be. You can
So-
see it from the side a little bit, but
Yeah.
if those go, it's not gonna affect the look of the building as much
I think it
as
would
the
be
front
smart
ones
to
will.
get a value on eliminating the high eve tails. I think we should definitely keep the low eve ones.
Yeah.
but-
You don't think that would look awkward,
What's that?
having long eaves on the low side and nothing? Like you're gonna be
So-
making your visual comparison to.
The overhangs will stay. This is just simply the rafter,
Yeah, as it comes
the
up.
pieces of wood that kind of overhang it. I think it'll, like I said, the view you're looking at there, it'll definitely change that view. But up high, you may or may not notice it.
Yeah, I mean,
If we're looking for.
You're looking at such a small portion there,
Right.
which is already blocked by the rest of the building. Okay. We can continue onwards then. Going down the list. You want to speak to the benefits between the vented nail base and the 5/8 plywood?
Yeah, so the vented nail base, for those who know, it's just really a sandwich panel. It's got plywood, it's got an air gap to kind of, so any heat that rises, gets below, it'll vent out that way. It's got some more insulation on top of it, and then it's got another nail base for the roof. The big issue there is that you can go with the 5/8 in plywood, that's fine. The shingle manufacturers may not give you the warranty.
Okay.
That's really the biggest thing. It's a little less durable. I mean, asphalt shingles are they can last a pretty long time regardless, but, that's what that's there for. And I can see it's a pretty big cost.
Yeah. And then how would that affect our energy code with all the insulation that we do need?
We'd still have to have insulation on top.
Yeah.
So we have the nail base, we have insulation on top of that.
Okay.
What about condensation control?
We have a vapor barrier
Yeah, so
regardless.
it's beyond that. This is above that.
Okay.
Is it, are there other options for the roofing material that you considered, whether it be membrane or metal?
I think we initially looked at a metal roof. Asphalt is the cheapest,
Yeah,
most
What's the pitch on that
cost-effective.
roof?
What's that?
What is the pitch on the roof?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's
It's a
3.
5 or a 6, I think.
I can't,
Looks
Or
pretty
maybe it's a
flat.
4.
3 or
It looks
4. I
pretty
can't
Yeah,
remember.
maybe it's a
Yeah,
4.
but I'm sure it's on the
12.
drawings. But
I hesitate to take anything from the roof that might impact warranties.
Yeah, I do too. Okay.
Interior trim, what is that, how extensive is that?
we don't have a rendering with me. It's really, we have trim along this wall. It's a pretty tall wall, just split up a little bit. I think it'll be somewhat similar to what we have, but there'll be more verticals, a couple more horizontals. I think if we take that out, the room will still look nice. I think that really,
You could put prints or paintings or something in lieu of at some
Yeah,
point?
right.
Drapes if somebody wanted to.
I think what it really was responding to was the exposed trusses we had previously. And those are
Okay.
gone now because,
Okay.
they're expensive, so
Jeremy,
we
does
could
that,
reduce that or remove it.
does that also remove the acoustical panels that we have on the walls too?
No.
Or it's just the wood
Those
trim?
stay. It's just the trim.
Okay.
Oh, and that would be a mistake, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's
Yep.
why I want to clarify.
And so just to step back, number 15, that's something we had included in the cost estimate that we didn't include in the actual drawing, so that can easily be taken out.
Oh, the window.
Yeah, transaction window.
And I'm trying to look at the plan to see where that is.
The transaction window?
Yeah.
It would have been here at the reception desk.
Okay.
I think the idea was to kind of be able to close that off, but it's missing from this drawing, but there is a door
Yep.
between the offices and the reception, so
Okay.
it's not, it wouldn't do anything for you.
Okay.
So it's kind of an easy one we put on there.
Mm-hmm.
But,
The FRP panels at the janitor's closet, remove those. We can certainly
yeah,
keep that moisture resistant gyp. That's fine. We can do a mold resistant paint too.
yep,
Remove the wall covering at the lounge. That's such a small line item.
Yeah.
One of those things I was thinking of, because we're still maintaining the picture rail that's in that location.
in the lounge area.
Yeah,
Yeah, here.
because I was gonna say, if we have rotating art pieces, then we could just get rid of that, and then the art is what remains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
take that out.
yep.
Okay.
It sounds like Mrs. Lilly has the exterior benches taken care of already.
Yep.
You know, I've built out of less. Let's see, the reception desk with a bought piece instead of millwork.
Yeah.
We can certainly take that out as well.
I wonder how practical the entire reception area would be. I understand why it was included, and
Yep.
but I don't think the town is staffed to
Mm-hmm.
have a reception area there. I mean, it could be, an area could be still used temporarily if there's an event going on, you need to register or kind of sign in or
Yeah, I think
whatever
it-
it might be, but as far as permanent staffing, I don't see the town.
I mean,
I
that
think-
can also be used as kind of a flex workspace.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
there is somebody there, or if somebody comes in
Yeah, it's
for
gotta be
meetings or
used for
whatever.
Right.
And then,
And
what-
that, a desk or a built-in doesn't really
Right.
affect that functionality.
yep, it's one of
Yeah.
those things that as time goes on and this building evolves and the town evolves, if it's being used more frequently and we do end up having staff there, we could, you know,
You can go to.
get a piece of millwork built that
Yeah.
will serve the purpose of a
Right.
receptionist at that
Right.
Yeah,
space.
that's something that can be added in
Yep,
later
Right.
on.
all the infrastructure would be there, we'd have electrical on the side walls.
I think the windows, unless there's a performance issue, that would be fine. Is that-
To swap them out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't like vinyl windows. They're not gonna last as long as fiberglass. We've done it. It's not it's not something I like to do, but if it comes down to the, to that
Yeah,
much.
but I mean, I think we can also maybe create from this list the definite deletes and the.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Add back if allowed, you know,
Mhm.
a budgetary allowance.
So the windows on like the front of the building, those are fiberglass windows? That's not aluminum storefront?
The only aluminum we have is the entry doors. Everything else, these large doors here, those are wood-clad aluminum, but we've reduced those quite a bit to just, actually, it's just two. Now, everything else, every other window is fiberglass. The entry doors are aluminum.
Are aluminum windows, those, the large ones in the white area, is that an option to convert to aluminum?
These guys,
Yeah,
to convert to?
aluminum. Is that more or less?
So those are currently, they're aluminum-clad wood, or wood-clad aluminum, excuse me,
Okay,
those two.
that's what I thought.
Yeah, you can't get fiberglass that big.
Yep.
Essentially.
Okay.
I think the parapet you definitely have to keep. I think that's an architectural.
I was gonna say, we don't wanna see
Yeah.
all the mechanical units on top of the roof.
Well, they're not big parapets. They're pretty, they're, a foot plus just the depth of the insulation. So they're not hiding.
Yeah, but
You
it's,
can't.
if you eliminate them, you're gonna see the membrane roof.
We'd have a detail at the edge of the roof, so you'd see, a piece of trim. You wouldn't necessarily see it, but it's better to have them.
Mm. I think, I think that should stay unless it has to be.
I'll defer to you guys, sure.
Okay.
Are the side lights on all the interior pass doors, is that the?
It's a good, yeah. We have one, for instance, we have them here, all the doors up to the program rooms.
I think the side lights are very beneficial. It allows you to see.
Yeah,
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 and so the doors have a wood panel in them. I'm sorry, a glass panel like that one. So you'd be able to see through it. You still get light and
Oh,
kind
so
of
this
vision.
is in addition to the half light?
Exactly.
Well, then I think you could, as long
Yeah.
as you have the visual through the actual door leaf, then I think.
Yeah,
The side light would be a nice feature, but
yes,
not critical.
yes. Do with that.
so has that been is it a full glass panel, Jeremy, or is it a half light?
I think we have two panels. I don't have the drawings. in front
Okay,
of me.
because I'm just looking at the drawings and I see the full, they're
Does
full
it have a full
lights.
panel? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in agreement with that, right? Mr. Najarian. When you, say adjust the multipurpose room door hardware, what do you mean by, could you explain that a little bit? You're
Trying to
at,
remember what that included. I believe.
25. Not that it's
You know, I
big
think,
dollars.
so, we changed from here, we just have one set of doors on either side.
Okay,
And I think that previously we had hardware on all of them. And that it might have had hardware on the exterior side to be able to let you go in that door if you needed to. So I
Okay.
think the idea was, if somebody rents out that room, you can close off the rest of the building and they can have them come in that way.
Okay.
Again, I think it's something you can do without.
okay. The epoxy floor, I think I'm good with that. I've had pretty successful installations in other projects of mine with epoxy floors.
Yep.
And we still have a floor drain, so we can push everything to there, so.
Yeah.
Keep
But-
it or eliminate?
No, right now, there's tile in the restrooms, so we would be
Oh, replacing.
replacing the
Oh,
tile
yeah,
with
yeah.
epoxy.
I agree, I've had good luck with epoxy as well.
Yep. And then replacing the 4x4 with a 2x2 ACT ceiling system. I think I would be accepting of that. I just find that 2x2s are easy to come by, so if we ever had to retrofit anything,
I agree.
Easier to store extras.
right. Removing the interior security cameras, you know, we can look at lessening the number of those,
Yeah.
so we could come back with a little bit of a different number on that one.
Yeah, and if you look in the notes, I have a per camera
Yep.
cost there.
Removing the card readers. You know, that could be another thing that we talk to the administration about for, as far as security systems go. See what they recommend.
This building has card readers.
Yeah.
Is there any other municipal building that has card readers?
I know the two fire stations don't have card readers. I don't believe the police station has controlled access, but,
Mm,
you know, that's the front door that they have.
yeah,
I don't believe the school has any card readers either.
right.
So just to be clear, there's three doors that have card readers.
Yep.
Mm.
I mean, if this is, I think the thing is, it comes down to access for volunteer folks, you know, if
Yep.
Mrs. Tebow and Mrs. Paulus are having an event, and God forbid, you know, they forget their key card, there's a lockbox outside instead of that they know the code to, or something like that.
Right.
So I think that could certainly save, again, could be another one of those things which is retrofitted later,
That's
if we
what I-
find,
that's
if we
what I
find that
think.
an issue.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get concerned about removing the sprinkler system.
I agree. I
Yeah.
would recommend leaving it in.
I would not remove it.
Mm. And I think the size of the building means it's not code required, but
Right,
if we
Given-
add on later, then you're
Yep.
gonna have to go back and put it back,
right, yeah.
which is gonna cost more than the 104,000 we have here.
There sure is, yeah. Moving the infrastructure for the future generator, I think we've already discussed that with some of the issues that considering this becoming a shelter. Removing the electrical floor blocks is in the multipurpose room.
I think you should keep them.
I like having those just because it gives a little bit more flexibility to use that room if, you know, they're using projectors, they need power, any kind of thing like that. They have lights, you're having a dance, you know, you have the ability to do that.
Well, yes, if you're gonna remove an AV system or a sound system, then you need,
A little bit more
you
flexibility.
need a little more flexibility to put a projector, to put
Yep.
speakers, to power all of that, so, yeah.
Okay. You want to talk a little bit about removing the automatic temperature controls? Because I think right now, CJ, this building doesn't have a BMS system. We just walk over to the thermostat.
Yeah,
So-
so that's essentially it. There'd be thermostats
Yep,
throughout, you wouldn't be able to control it,
remotely.
remotely.
We don't do that already, so.
Okay, so that, I guess that could be an easy
We've
one.
proven that we like to be able to control it because we had 2 complaints about the temperature in this room prior to the meeting starting, and CJ took care of it, so. Done deal.
Okay.
And again, that's also another thing that could be added at a later time too.
Right.
That's all low voltage wiring, that's just
Yep.
putting in a system and programming that. So if the town ever does, with asset management and a facilities director come through and put in a BMS system, great.
Yep.
Removing the cabinetry for the flex office. There's a sink, right now, we're currently proposing a sink in that flex office?
Yes,
Okay,
a sink and a couple cabinets.
yeah. So I would say just based on the potential use of that office, that we leave that cabinetry.
Yeah.
Especially if there's ever a nurse or, vaccinations or what, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I think
You're gonna
it's,
need that.
Yeah.
it's short money relatively
Yeah.
speaking.
And then similarly with the cabinetry for the flex room.
The Flex Pro, yeah.
Yep, the flex program room, if there's gonna be art in different activities going on in there, if they have paint, whatever's, or you're prepping seeds for the next, growing season. However you feel, but I think we should still have a sink in that location too. The recessed floor mats at the entry, I know in the past, and Jeremy, you probably have seen this too, that while they look really nice,
Mhm.
if they're not maintained,
Mhm.
then we have an issue.
Yep.
So I think what we do here in town right now is we have just mats that we pick up and clean and then put them back. I think recessing the floor mats right now, they wouldn't get maintained.
It's a
in-
nice detail, but
Yeah,
only when it's new.
yeah.
Okay.
So Jeremy, you put in 2 numbers for the patio area, reducing it by 50% and reducing it, or removing it entirely.
What is the size of the patio?
I think it was 1,000. If we go back to the plan, it might have it on there. 1,200.
Square feet, so. I mean, that could be one of those things where we draw the line, straight down so that the doors can still be used and accessed. And then, again, at a later date, if we decide to put in the curve or make a bigger area, we can certainly do that too.
Or maybe what you do is put the 50% as a wish list,
Mhm.
potential donors.
Or
And if you
different
use
material?
pavers-
That's pavers, right?
Yeah, if you go pavers, you can just add on.
Yep.
It'll be easy to add on later.
Yep.
Because it's the same.
Well, what's in the current design?
Pavers.
Concrete?
We had
Pavers.
concrete previously, it's currently pavers. So this is the cost to remove all those pavers, right?
Mhm.
And then, because I think we all have to agree that for 3 or 4 months out of the year, maybe even 5, that's a great
Yeah.
gift
Oh, yeah.
to the seniors and anyone who just wants to go there. If there's coffee that they offer, or you just
Mhm.
want to read a book, it's hard to equate the dollar value for the worth. And I think that the benefit of that is far greater than the dollar value,
Mhm.
or it should be.
And then, similar to the flagpole and the signage, this could also be an opportunity to continue to add on.
Because I think the flagpole is also a matter of pride, civic pride, and it's almost a necessity in my mind that it should be there, just
Mhm.
because it's a public building. But I don't think there's a rule that says it has to be, but
Right.
I guarantee you we could get somebody
Mhm.
to pay for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to come up and join us?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, you're good.
What would be the problem of having the concrete first, and then, by reducing it by 50%, having concrete, and then build out to the other 50% with the pavers, in case you don't have people that want to buy, if you can't sell the pavers? You know what I mean?
Well, it wouldn't be selling each paver, I think that it could be, because we had talked about that.
Yeah.
But I think the dollar value of the installation of the paver is less than the concrete.
Yeah,
Oh, it is?
Yeah, and that was the primary driving force.
Oh.
Yep.
gotcha. All right, thank you.
So then we have the last three items, the removing all plantings, which,
I mean, the thing, we're saving $18,000. I mean,
right,
it's, you can't build something that's just austere and has no character to it. I mean, what, you know, I think you should stick to your guns on that one and keep it. That's my opinion. Maybe you can reduce it a little bit, but,
so this only includes plantings around the building. Previously, and in the DD said we had trees kind of all over, those
Yep.
have all been removed. So this is really just things around the building and a little bit of the parking lot.
I
Couple
think it would be
trees.
sorely missed if it weren't there.
I agree, for what it's worth.
okay. And then my thoughts remain with the entry canopy. I think that's certainly signaling the entrance, where to go in. And it's still paying homage to, you know, Joel and Jeremy did a great job relating back to what was originally there with the school itself. So I have a hard time.
Well, let me ask you, if you're a contrarian and you say no, how does that impact access to the building? You just have the vestibule to protect you?
Yeah, it
Pretty
doesn't
much.
leave any
So,
protection of the
so think of it
elements.
this way, if you have an entry area that is covered, and you have seniors primarily going in during the day, then at least you have that area there that does not get any snow or ice, or can be maintained very easily. So whereas if you don't have it, then you have snow, ice, slip and fall hazards pretty much right up to the door, so it puts a little more pressure on the town, DPW, Parks and Recreation, to clear that walkway. At least it gives them a little bit of frontage there where it's easier to maintain.
No, I wasn't the contrarian, I was just,
I was pretending you were.
no, I mean, if you were to be a
Or
contrarian,
if there's a contrarian
There's a
out
contrarian out there, you
there
ain't
watching, then I would say that was the,
But I also think that
and I speak from experience, having managed a building that had a awning of probably 20 feet, that it was a lot, in the wintertime, it was very, very nice to have over there.
and I think that you also then have to look at, from the pro side, is the linkage. It's pulling the history forward into the present. And is it, you know, there's the fundamental question. It's the functionality of it, as you said, Scott.
Yeah.
Then you have the architectural integrity where you're bringing the old into the future.
Yep.
And how much does that mean to the people? All it is structural steel and a deck, right?
It's steel post, it's wood framing,
Oh,
wood
wood
roof
framing.
framing, yeah.
So the construction materials are pretty basic, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's all concrete footings as well.
Well,
Along,
yeah,
yeah.
but I mean, from a practical point of view, you wouldn't necessarily be able to construct it for 50% less.
No, I mean, I think this is, it's pretty simple, yeah. It's not,
I think, again, if you present this to the council and say, you know, there's more to it than just the dollars. If they don't see it, then it gets the axe. If they do see it, then I would vote to keep it.
I have a question about that. Say, I can't drive anymore, and I wander out of the building and I'm waiting for my son-in-law to pick me up. Where am I gonna be standing? Am I gonna be in the covered area? And then I'm gonna be able to chit-chat with all my girlfriends while I'm doing that. What-
On the benches you put there.
Right, but
Otherwise,
I don't know
not.
if you've ever seen people exiting the
Of
church,
course.
it's not like leaving Walmart, you hang out,
Yeah.
and your husband's like, right? But, so we have to think about this as part of the extension of our social space. And if I'm waiting for a car, I'm not gonna be waiting for it by the doors, because the parking lot's, right?
Yep.
So
if there's an awning there or a canopy there,
Yes.
Turns left.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically
Turns
where the
left.
sidewalk is,
Okay.
the parking lot's kind of right where that line stops.
Okay, great.
So you'd be waiting kind of in this leg here, you know, and that's where there's a drop off in the parking lot. So if you're being dropped off, you basically step right out, you got 5 feet or so until you're covered. So that would be the place where people would wait and hang out and all that.
Okay, great, thanks.
And an awning would be a complete clash, would it not? If
Yeah.
somebody were to say, put an awning,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't see how architecturally that would work.
yeah,
No.
I agree.
All right, that's our list.
What's the extent of the demo?
So the extent of the demo is, at the last report, there was still some site demolition that needed to be done. And Mr. Pendergast had said that they could likely, the DPW could likely take care of the remainder of it to give it,
Likely.
yeah, likely to get it done. So then that way, that takes another 90,000 off.
So where does that number assigned, just goes away?
If DPW doesn't do it, then it gets added into the
Yeah.
project. If they can and do it, then it's taken out.
And where, has the savings already been reflected by
No.
moving the building?
Yes.
Yes. So we moved the building, we changed a bunch of the doors in the doors in multipurpose room to windows, and we took the basketball courts out and made that an alt.
So the million on this, it's not all of that, it's something less than that from
Yeah,
the
that's
various
it.
sheets that we have.
That's if we accepted everything.
If that's everything, so.
So, but if we had accepted everything.
Yep.
We're at 5.8. Which is the window is 1.8, the differential.
Mm.
So we're pretty much, we're still close to 2, which is
Yes.
kind of where we were from the get-go, right? I mean, the 3 was problematic, right? Because the 7 created the 3 differential.
Mm.
So now we're close to the original differential, which was the 2 plus or minus. Is that fair to say?
I think if you look at the bottom of the sheet, there's 2.2 million essentially of differential, if you accepted all of these. So it's gonna be a little more than that. But yeah, it's around 2
Oh,
some odd.
I was looking at the 1.8 in excess of the 4 million.
The 1.8 is the total of all these. If you accept all of those,
And we didn't,
we didn't.
yeah. So that's why I'm saying that's more like 2 probably, right?
Yeah, it'll be, I haven't added up what we
Yeah.
decide to keep, it'll be over 2.34, some along those lines. I can revise this if you want based on this meeting, and
We should probably do that, right?
Yeah.
so you can have the original and then you can have the accepted
Now,
list.
would we also want to send this to the town administrator and say, this is what we came up with?
From what Mr. Carullo has said, they're kind of working in their bubble right now.
Yeah, but
So-
I think it'd be one thing to give it to them, and if they discount it, that's
Yeah.
their prerogative. I think it's good measure to say, we are doing our due diligence as well.
Yep.
We're not saying that this is the hard and fast, we're saying we did a quick review, and we're giving this to you for your benefit. You
Yep.
can use it. That's, in my opinion, it's the best way to build the bridge again, instead of creating
Right.
a barrier, because in theory, if we don't believe that the TA is working in our best interest, then we have a fundamental problem, and frankly, I wouldn't be comfortable moving forward
Yep.
if we're fighting at that level, and I don't believe we are.
No.
But the way we ensure that we're not is, I think, sharing this information.
I think that's the way to go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, can we, while we're on this general subject, have we, I know the courts were gone, but have we flushed out? I guess the administrator's working on flushing out how much of the 1 million can in fact be used?
So my understanding for the $1 million grant is that he has been working with the grant writer, that was Mr. Carullo, who's still here, because he could probably speak a little bit more intelligently about it. But I did ask about the $1 million grant, And what I was told is that they have filed paperwork that accommodates portions of Phase 1, which is this project here, and Phase 2, which is more community garden oriented, the passive recreation oriented. So the way that I had interpreted the language of the grant was that we actually, in fact, could potentially use the full $1 million for this part of this whole entire project. But apparently, I believe they've been working with the grant writer to identify kind of areas of both. So we haven't gotten a definitive answer of, you know, how much can actually go to this project and how much goes to the other.
But it appears a high probability or high likelihood that a noticeable percentage, or at least a reasonable percentage, can be used for this project,
I would hope so.
which would go directly, that's a big hit on the offset, right? I mean, even if it was 250,000 or 300, it's a
Right.
significant upturn. Because at this point in the game, the paths and the open space, we don't even exist for that. We have no authority.
No.
And again, when you look at everything, I would think it's in everyone's best interest to try to take as much of that million and apply it to what we're trying to make reality now for what we think could be reality in the future.
Yep.
Oh, good. So the sky isn't necessarily black,
No.
right? I mean, we've got funding that's still possible on the federal and the state side. We've got the opportunity to go internal to our businesses and wealthier residents and everyone in between. And we've also got the opportunity to look within the town council's bag of options for funding.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I have a more positive attitude than I had after I heard the news of
I'm glad you do, because we've been having these conversations for going on almost 2 years, and I don't feel we're any farther along. I think the gap in the funding has always been there. It's always been known, and it's been a can that's been kicked down the road, and nobody has ever taken charge or told somebody to take charge, whether it's directing us to do something or directing somebody within the town to do, the administration to do something. So until that actually happens, I will gladly share in your optimism, but for right now, it's just another conversation that we've had that we continue to have. So when that's put into action, then I will share your optimism.
But I think it's the only, in my vision, my view, the only viable means is to go take a positive approach to the council and give them the opportunity to say yes, because at this point now, there is no more road to kick the ball. Well, you're right, we've watched the can do many acrobat across the roads as it's varied its way. But there's no more can to kick. We have the price, we have the review, and we have the percentage of the monies. And you're right, everyone knew. Yeah, you could go back 3 years.
Yes. So it's
3 years ago, we said, whoever gets to the people first is gonna, either the police station or this structure. 3.5 years ago, our first meeting of the previous committee, that's what the discussion was.
right,
And we're still
Right.
there.
right.
So the council owns the police station, and that is their priority, and that's gonna be built.
Right.
But I don't think you can turn around and justify to the people that we spent all this money, so we could say, oh, shucks. That's not politically, not to mention for us, but for a politician to say, oh,
agree.
shucks. That doesn't cut it. When we're this close, we're not that far away. So I
Right.
think
And-
we have to keep.
And we've
giving them-
offered solutions.
Yep.
And we've offered to take charge of those solutions and be the ones to steer those solutions and put them into existence. And yet here we sit
But I think we have to continue.
where we are.
We have to continue
So,
because that's all we can do.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. We, put our head down and keep moving forward. But this grant is, I think maybe the time frame that we're working with is the pressure of the cost of materials continue to rise. It's not the pressure of getting the grant spent, because we have time on that. We have time to put together a fundraising campaign if given the direction and the authority to do so. The real pressure I think that maybe we're feeling is we've seen costs escalate. They're continued to escalate if a plan is not put into place and people are not directed to do something, then the costs will continue to rise. So
Yeah, but that variable may be in flux.
Okay.
I don't know that we can say with certainty that the cost escalations are gonna continue unabated.
Yeah.
I think you could make some strong arguments that not the opposite will happen, but you're going to see stabilization, then you're also going to see less supply, meaning the contractors may become very hungry,
yeah,
which will affect the total cost. Material costs may stagnate or they may decline a little bit.
yeah,
But if the flow of jobs, and our architects can tell us whether or not the flow has lessened, the contractors are going to be thirsty and hungry.
Okay. So, review of our timeline and schedule is the next item up on our agenda. So it seems as though we will wait until hopefully October 2nd for our next meeting for the administration to come back with their review and their report on what they think with the costs in supplementary to what we just went through this evening. So it sounds like Jeremy is still on pause until we get formal approval from council to go into the construction documents. We will need to schedule a joint meeting with the council at some point to get that approval for you guys, but at this point, let's have the administration do their homework and come to a consensus on that.
Question for you. Once and if you're given the go-ahead to, go to CDs, what kind of time frame are you looking at? Is it a month worth of work, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks?
I don't recall what we had in our schedule.
I think you had about 2 months.
2 months.
Yep. Because if we had gotten approval on the design development in August, you guys were going to have bid documents ready to go in November, December timeframe. So that's where we stand on that. So as we wait to just get some things in order, that's where we'll stand. Then the last item on here for discussion, consideration, and action recommendations to the council.
I think we should do two things, though. One is I think do we need to formalize this, or is it understood that you'll transfer this?
I want to share the updates from Jeremy with the administration first.
That's what I mean.
And
No,
that-
that's what I meant.
yep.
You're gonna send it to them.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have the administration have this
I think we should
document.
keep it internal to us for
Yep,
now.
until we have a final document that we can present together. Yep.
But I'm wondering if we shouldn't should we also ask the administration in form of a memorandum whether or not they can provide additional info as to the necessity or the implications of the additional costs if we want to make this a shelter? So if the council were given the question, they would have the background.
Yep. I can certainly give that question over to the administration.
And then I'm thinking, I'm wondering, why are we waiting? Should we not make a motion if we're in agreement to, once again, ask them to approve? Have we ever actually asked them? We have to approve the fundraising that we submitted to them months ago.
Yep.
We have formally asked them,
Yeah,
and their response was?
no action was taken.
So should we redo that?
We certainly could.
I think Because I think if we go to the council with the positive note that, you know, we're working on the dollars, yeah, we understand how important it is. But if this aspect of the project isn't at least approved, we're dead in the water.
Right. So I hear you have the makings of a motion then.
Yeah, I assume we should, I would say we make a motion to, again, ask the town council to approve the fundraising program that has previously been submitted, and authorize the committee to formulate a plan to implement.
All right, that's a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
I-
Aye. Is that an aye from you too?
I-
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Very good then. Are there any other recommendations that we would like to make to council this evening? Okay. Very good then. Last item on the agenda then is for adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A motion, I'll second. All in favor?
I-
Aye. All right, thank you very much, everybody.
You have a